Hi, my name is Dante Williams. Thank you so much for checking out A Better You Starts today. So today we're going to be talking about how do you handle and manage conflict. Take a deep breath. I know this is challenging. I'm sure many of you have had interactions with folks and people in your job and even in your personal life as well where you might have wanted to literally strangle them, like literally. I get you. I hear you. I totally understand that. However, we can't do that. But today I want to talk about really specific and tactful ways that we can help deal with conflict and deal with management in the workplace setting, right? It's kind of tough. Now, you'll see a lot of this correlate into our personal lives as well, okay? So one of the things that makes conflict so hard to deal with is that sometimes, like anything in life, communication breaks down. Okay, and because communication breaks down, we begin to build assumptions about what the other person's thinking and or saying to us or behind our backs specifically. I know there's lots of backstabbers, unfortunately, in the workplace. I'm sure many of you have experienced that, and it hurts. But that's the challenging part about it, is where that person, one, also must be willing to even hear what you're saying to them, okay? So with conflict management, here's the thing, folks. Right or wrong doesn't matter anymore at this point. And when I say conflict management, I kind of joke about you having thoughts of choking or strangling somebody, but I laugh and chuckle because I have thought that and you have thought that too as well. You're like, I just want to break this person's computer. I want to go outside and slash their tires. Like, oh, they make me so mad. Oh! That's because we're so emotionally charged. And, right or wrong is literally at this point irrelevant, right? When we're that emotionally worked up and that emotionally charged, where anger and rage comes out, us being right doesn't matter, because the way we're going to communicate our stance that we assume is right is not going to come out in a way where that person's wanting to be receptive to your thoughts and ideas and suggestions, okay? And if they're the same way too, where they're so angry at you, where they're tightened up, they give you the cold shoulder, they give you the death glare, they just look at you like, you better not say anything to me. Even them, they're not able to even hear what you're saying. They're not able to hear your suggestions. They're not able to hear any of that stuff. The only thing they hear is, this person's done me wrong, this person keeps doing me wrong, and they keep disrespecting me. That's the only thing they hear, and that's the only thing that you hear. So that's why I say wrong and right at this point is irrelevant. Now I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but that's why you bring the emotions down, okay? Something to note, and many might disagree with me, but this is a very true statement. I do not have control over my emotions. You do not have complete control over your emotions. Now, let's peel that back and think about it before people tell me that I'm wrong. Here's the thing. When I get angry and upset, I didn't ask to get angry and upset. It's not like I walked into the refrigerator and got a bottle of I want to be angry and drank it, right? I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be angry. I didn't ask to be upset. I didn't ask to feel disrespected. I didn't ask to feel outraged and upset. I didn't ask for it. The emotions literally came up out of me. And not only have they came up out of me, they have become and consumed my mind and my thoughts. Like, the only thing that we're thinking about is how angry that we are, how much justification that we need, right? How much we need to be justified, right? How much we need to get back at this person for doing this terrible thing to us, right? That's the thought that we have. We didn't ask for that, because here's the thing how it works, folks. I could be whistling Dixie when I go walk into work, but when I see John from the accounting department disrespect me, give me bad news, I become angry, period. I was happy before, but John and my interaction with John made me angry and upset. Maybe Sally from marketing won't do the thing I needed her to do to advertise the position that I got open in the company, right? There's many, many different things that can take place. But I was happy before, and now I'm not. I didn't ask. This time period, I didn't ask to be upset and angry, okay? Folks, that's significant. That's so important to recognize that, okay? You did not want to actually be angry. The emotions just came up. So what does that mean for us is that we got to play it back at that point. When our emotions are too overtaken, I'm going to use this analogy of our relationships. If you're in a relationship with a significant person, and we've all had this, where the conversation gets a little heated, right? They get mad at you, you get mad at them, okay? They don't hear a single thing that you are saying at this point. I mean, you're talking to them, looking at them right in the eyes, and you're saying a particular thing to them. It's as if they didn't hear it. It's as if they had literally heard something different. It's like somebody took a microphone and talked over your voice while you were talking to them in their head. Folks, yes, in some regards, that's exactly what's happening. They're not necessarily hearing what you're saying. They're hearing what they want you to be saying to them, okay? If they're angry, you say, hey, I didn't mean this. Really, when they're processing this and they're hearing you, they're saying, like, I don't really care about that. That's what they're feeling like when you say those things. So, in a relationship, the best way to do that when it comes too hot, you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Yes, leave the kitchen. Leave, both of you, get out of the kitchen. It's to come and break apart for a quick moment. Allow your heart rate and blood pressure to drop, okay? Allow that to happen. Earlier in the show, I took a deep breath. Now, that was to be funny and whimsical, but at the same time be tactful and purposeful. Literally breathing out the stress, breathing out the anxiety, breathing out the fear of what can happen. Breathing that out, allowing your body to get regulated through your breath is so important. It's not just breathing. And folks, this is something that I'm continuously working on as well. When I feel anxious and stressed out, my body tenses up. And not only does my body tense up, I'm not getting enough oxygen literally to my brain at that point. I'm just simply just walking through the world tensed up and angry, and I'm breathing, but not as much as I can. But allowing ourselves to stop, deep breath, and out. You do about 10 successions of those, okay? Now, the person that's making you angry, don't stay in the room with them. It's best just to leave. And, I'm not saying you leave in a dramatic fashion where you run outside the door and slam the door and flick them off. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is respectfully be like, you know what, can we please continue this at another time? Right now I'm feeling kind of upset and I'm not in a good headspace right now. Can we please resume in the next 30 minutes or, maybe even tomorrow? That would probably be best. That is one of the most significant things that you can do, my friends, is stopping, breaking apart, and taking some breaths and breathing, like literally breathing. And unfortunately, for some reason in society, we make breathing not a significant thing. I mean, really, taking the time to sit down, close your eyes for a brief moment, and then just focus on your breath. Focus on your breathing. Being mindful of how you feel at that moment, right? Even during the self-reflective process where you have your eyes closed and you're breathing, even explore the thoughts of why you're angry at this person, why you're upset. And typically, for the most part, it's not necessarily that they didn't do a particular task. It's typically because you felt disrespected, right? They disrespected you, they disrespected your identity, they disrespected what you stand for. It typically boils down to something like that, where you feel disrespected, okay? Just know, when you're dealing with conflict management, right and wrong is irrelevant, but you do have the right to feel that way, though. If they're making you feel that way, you felt that way for a reason. But take some time apart, focus on your breathing, okay? That's number one that you can do. The second thing that you can do, when you come back together, you want to be able to establish protocols. I call it the makeup meeting, where you get the two parties to sit down together. At the end of the day, you got to have a sit down, okay? You cannot not have a sit down. That is the worst thing that you can do. If you have a big blow up like that at work or even in a relationship, like I said, those are correlational. Not saying nothing, not sitting down and talking about your perspective and talking about your feelings. My God, unfortunately, we've become so ridiculous in terms of like male stereotypes, unfortunately, where it's bad to talk about our feelings and emotions. No, it's not, my friends. Male or female, whomever, however you identify, it's significant to talk about our feelings. Like I said, these feelings and emotions we do not ask for. They literally come out of us. And in order to get ourselves to rationalize in a rational manner, we must deal with our emotions, you know? Think about it like this. How many times in your life, in my life, have we assumed something about somebody or what they are doing to us or what they've said about us behind our back? How many times have we assumed that and then we found out that it actually wasn't true? That actually we're talking pretty highly of us. But because our emotions are so high, we sprint into the negative perspective. We run there. I mean, without question, we just run to the negative, right? You're like, oh, they're in a room by themselves without me. They're talking about me. They're gonna fire me. Let me go get my stuff together. I don't need this job. No way. I can find a different place. You know, see, you run with it. But really, they're not even talking about you. Perhaps in some regards, they're not even talking about you at all. They're like, oh yeah, you know, we're just checking in. Or if they are talking about you, it might be in a positive light. But if our emotions are leading us down that path, our thoughts will subsequently follow. Okay, so it's so important that you have that meeting of the minds, where the two parties sit together and establish protocol. What does protocol look like? Protocol looks like this. During this meeting that we're going to have with one another, and it's typically good to have a mediator that's there. It could look like this. You got two departments who are lateral, right? So you got an IT director maybe, and then you got like a facilities director who got in a debate or dispute with one another. There's typically a person that's over one of these two folks that's a part of that. Maybe even it's another director, but that's typically the flow of it. The hierarchies you still have to follow. It would look weird if you got directors and then you got your specialists trying to talk to the directors. It's weird. Because that hierarchy doesn't allow for that to go. So it's having people that are within the same scope of responsibility or title or up higher is typically how it works, okay? But you want about 3 people in this room. That third person is the person that is keeping the reins on, so to speak. It's keeping everybody in the conversation and allowing folks to talk and allowing people, because you know how it is when you get upset and angry about something, you get really emotional and you overtalk each other because you want your point to get heard. So this mediator is a person that's going to be like, okay, so Bill, tell us what you think. Sally, what do you think about that? Okay, hold on, Sally, let's allow Bill. Right? They're doing all that for us. Because when we don't feel heard and we don't feel validated, this is a constant in just life. When we don't feel heard and we don't feel validated, we become upset because the person is disrespecting our experience, they're disrespecting who we are, they're disrespecting our concerns and problems, right? So having this person there is vital. But literally in this protocol, that person is establishing, okay, we're not going to yell at each other. We're not going to say disrespectful, derogatory things. We're going to, as best as possible, talk about strict, objective facts. We're going to acknowledge that we appreciate each other, right? Those are all things that before you even talk, before you even allow them to talk, you sit down and then you have that protocol. Then at that point, then you could talk about the dispute. Like, what element of this dispute did you find really upsetting, okay? You allow that person to fully talk. This person's over here, they need to shut their mouth for a moment, then let them talk, and then you go back to this person, then they stop talking, then you allow them to talk, and now everybody's getting it out in the open. And then what you might discover and find is that it was a simple miscommunication. It was a breakdown of communication because the facilities operator might not have communicated with the HR director, okay? It could be something simple as that. They didn't let them know a little minute detail, but that person felt slighted and they were upset, okay? It's very possible that could happen that way, okay? So that's the importance of having those conflict type of resolutions conversations, is that it is so important that folks talk about exactly what is bothering them in a way where they feel affirmed and they feel heard, okay? Right and wrong at this point doesn't matter. We got to get the parties to come back together, right? Same thing with a relationship with our loved ones that we care about. When we're that upset, right or wrong doesn't matter anymore. We just need to come together at this point. We need to come together and reconcile. With reconciliation after a dispute or a conflict, reconciliation says that we identify that this was not okay behavior. We identify that Our emotions did get the best of us at this particular time. We identified that. And going forward, this is what I'm going to do. We cannot fix what happened before, obviously, right? We cannot go back in time. However, with resolution, we are able to say we can move forward, though, with one another, saying that what I did to you before, I will no longer do, and vice versa, what you did to me before, you will no longer do. Folks, that is how we get to a healthy conflict resolution conversation, okay? Now, this is just the brass tacks and, little tips and tricks right here, okay? But really, that's all it boils down to with conflict resolution is you want to allow the emotions to settle before you start. Because imagine you're up, everybody's angry, and then when you become angry, you got alliances at work, so you're going to get them all riled up. That's where you sit in the break room like, Bill was being disrespectful. Bill was talking about you and your work, and then John's going to be like, oh, Bill was talking about me? Oh, really? Next thing you know, you got 10 people, a mob literally, that are on your side, and then you got 10 people on the other side, right? You're about to start a war at work. Ain't nobody working at this point. Everybody's just upset and angry with each other. So it's important that we keep it where it's not spread like a virus, because then we start to see real nasty stuff. We start to see backbiting. We start to see gossiping. We start to see a lot of inappropriate behavior, a lot of inappropriate talk. We see a lot of that because it stemmed from these two people having influence over those folks and not dealing with what the problem was and then spreading accordingly, okay? So it is so important that, you talk about exactly in an objective way, this is what hurt my feelings, this is what hurt me, this is what made me feel uncomfortable, this is what made me feel disrespected, okay, folks? That is the crux of conflict management and conflict resolution. Eventually, we'll come back to this again throughout the show and talk a little bit more about this in detail as well. So thank you so much for checking out this video. I'm so glad that you decided to watch this. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks so much.